everybody, and welcome to another episode of M-Class Podcast, an in-depth Star Trek analysis and discussion podcast with dick jokes. I'm Jeff.
That's pretty much it. I'm Josh.
And
you go.
Joining us today is Mr. Paul Ritchey.
Hello.
Paul, what are you from?
Planet Earth, Alpha Prime Universe.
We already did
This
this.
sounds very familiar
We
to me.
already did this.
I only have so much material, guys.
What
sorry.
are you from in professionally, Paul?
I'm from where you're from. Tell them where you're
He's
from.
from almost all the same things Josh is from.
Yes.
Pretty much all the same things.
Yes, we're basically internet brothers.
Yeah.
Like
So, like,
brothers,
better
but
brothers.
closer.
Because I didn't have to live with them ever.
Who's the older brother in our relationship? You are.
It's me.
Yeah.
Because
Which
I'm
one of
mean to
you is older?
Yeah, I'm older. I'm the older one. If only there was some kind of number we could go to look at.
We'll never figure it out.
On this episode of M-Class Podcast, we're going to be talking about the seminal Star Trek The Original Series episode, The City on the Edge of Forever.
Do you think they call it seminal because people would
Jizz over it?
seminate? Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I always think when I think of Florida State because their mascot is the Seminoles, which is a Native American. They should fix that.
They probably should.
At least it's the name of the tribe.
Yeah,
and
it's not
like
just like a
not whatever
racist
racist-
term.
Indians with the smiling Indian.
Right. The Redskins.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the worst
fucking
one.
worst.
That's the
so-
worst one.
I
mean,
can't
at
fucking
least,
believe
like, Indians is... What's just worse? Because Redskins is like...
Redskins is way worse.
That's
Yeah,
a
that's
racist
like a
name.
racist term, yeah.
But so
Yeah.
is Indians.
Yeah, Indians is pretty bad.
That's true.
But it's better than... That's the whole thing, is like it's not a respect... Like the Chiefs are like that's a respectable... Like
Right.
you're a chief, right? Like you're a Native American chief,
Right.
right?
Yeah, it's a thing, like
Braves.
the warrior.
Right,
or
a
whatever.
warrior, right.
Warriors.
An Apache.
Right. I don't... Yeah.
I
They're
don't know
like
if there's any
tribe
Apache
names, I
teams.
guess. Like, if they want to, if
Probably.
they're like pissed off about those too, I'm not gonna blame them though.
Yeah, they can be pissed off about
Yeah,
whatever.
white people should probably just stop using all of it.
Yeah, don't use those.
Probably.
Don't... Name your teams like stupid things like the Crush.
Name them like the Honkies.
I don't know. Would you want to like root for a team called the Honkies? I think it would be funny, but I don't know.
The Philadelphia Dumb Dancers.
The Philadelphia Silly Boys.
I would root for the Silly Boys any day of the week.
Hell yeah, I would go down in my Silly Boys jersey all day, every day.
Can we pick a group of people from history that everyone loves? The Philadelphia Scofffiends.
Fuck yeah.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. That's your chant. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it
Oh
up.
my god. That'll happen one day.
They will.
They should have
Or,
cool
like,
fantasy names like the New Jersey Rat Lords.
Holy
I
shit.
wish.
This
New
is like-
Jersey doesn't get anything cool though.
It's like some Mutant League football shit. I'm all
Yeah,
about
man.
it.
Let's have some cool stuff like that.
Let's have
Rat
some actual
lords.
mutants.
We do. They're people who just train their whole lives to be athletic.
Right.
Well,
So
yeah.
there were no mutants in this episode of Star Trek.
No, thank you for
Sadly.
bringing it back, Paul. I appreciate that. I was about to, but
I mean, Bones kind of turns into a fucking schizophrenic werewolf.
That's
at one
true.
point.
He
That
has
is
that
true.
crazy face too, with the like rash on it.
He gets like the fucking what is it, like a anaphylaxis.
he
Yes.
does some A+ tier acting in this episode too, where he just
Yeah.
screams at the top of his lungs and runs around.
Murderer! I wonder if it was a fun episode for him to act.
For sure.
Probably. He
Um,
didn't have to be Bones. He could be Crazy Bones.
So
Yeah.
this is episode 28 of season 1, episode
Or
29
episode-
on Netflix.
Yes, 29 on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it's. Well, I don't know. We don't know why.
It was first aired April 6, 1967.
That was 2 days after my birthday, but 16 years before I was alive.
God, Josh, you're so old.
I was born in 1983.
This episode was written by Harlan Ellison, who you may have heard of before.
He writes storybooks.
He writes speculative fiction, is what it's called.
Yeah, I write sexulative fiction.
Nice. Sexulative diction.
We're off to a rollicking good start today.
Yeah, we are. I don't know how you say Harlan. Harlan.
It's Harlan. No D.
If you're having problems with this podcast, Jeff, it's your fault for bringing the Dick Brothers on.
We're like a wrestling team, the Dick Brothers.
I would love to see your outfits when you're double team wrestling.
It's just a dick. Oh, we double team everything.
You're just like the
hell
fucking. You're just like the Road Warriors, except instead of spikes, dildos.
Oh my god, that's genius.
That is it. That's our costume.
Fuck.
So
That's
Harlan
it.
Ellison wrote a little story called "I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream," which is fucking terrifying. I
sounds
recommend it.
It is
Horrible.
very, very terrifying.
Harlan Ellison just died, like
Yeah,
this year.
he did
Yeah.
just die. He was a notorious asshole.
Yeah, he's alright.
He wrote some great letters to people.
Yes, he did. I highly recommend those letters too if you want to laugh your ass off.
Who did he write to?
People that
Like-
pissed him off.
Anybody. There's like hundreds of letters of him writing to magazines and other writers and politicians.
That's crazy.
As always, he was mad about
Yeah.
the writing of this episode because his script was like, he calls it butchered. I would say made better.
Made better.
Well, okay, so
yeah.
I've never watched. Well, I've watched a little bit of TOS, but like in pieces. I've never watched a whole episode. This is my first whole episode.
Oh shit!
Where-
You started off with a bang.
Okay, I was gonna say,
a Voyagen.
would you rank this one very, very high on the original
Yeah.
series?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I would
would.
rank this like top 3 episodes in the
Whoa.
original
Yeah.
series.
Yeah, there's not a lot of great original series episodes. There's some really classic ones. I don't know.
Everyone's
I'm-
favorite, The Trouble with Tribbles, is probably the best one.
Of course.
People love that one.
Balance of Terror is my favorite TOS episode. It's a little bit more like TNG style episode where it's just like
Yeah.
character conflict with our heroes and aliens.
That's my
Yeah.
stuff. See, we'll talk about this.
Well, you're used to TNG, Paul, because you watch all of TNG,
But
right?
but when I first watched TNG, Jeff, I don't know if I've ever told you this. Josh knows. I hated it. I watched the pilot.
What?
Yes, I watched the pilot and I
crazy.
was like, "This is stupid. This is
He's
stupid."
crazy.
You're
Listen.
stupid.
Listen, in the first 10 minutes of that episode, I think in the first 5 minutes of that episode, people get sprayed with silver gas that turns them into frozen silver things.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
see the
pretty
problem
TOS.
here.
Yeah, I don't know what his problem is.
Well, the reason I didn't like it was because I'm a big science fiction reader. I read a lot of
Yeah.
books and short stories and stuff like that, and that's what I like. And everyone talked up TNG as it's like the best sci-fi that's been on television, right? So I went into it expecting a heady, thinking man's television show that was very tastefully made and very thoughtful. And instantly, people are getting sprayed with silver goop that makes them into frozen statue men.
This dude hates silver gas. Jesus.
He got silver gas one time. You can't really blame
okay,
him.
I understand.
Oh my god, I forgot about my silver gassing.
Well, we silver gas you
stretched
every
it
now
up.
and then to just make you forget about the time, which is ironic and
Josh, I
kind
think
of
it's
counterproductive.
I think it's snowballing, Josh.
So you have watched through all of TNG now. Your opinion has
Yes.
obviously changed.
Yes. Oh, yes, I love it. But I actually have only watched a couple episodes of season 1. I've almost completely skipped season 1.
That's
Well,
probably
yeah.
not for the worst. I mean, season 1 is
nobody
pretty
told
rough.
him. Yeah, nobody told him about like the end of season 2. Just start there. Like nobody said that to
Like,
him.
season
right?
2 has so many great episodes in it. Like, I always tell people, and I'll tell the listeners at home, if you're gonna watch TNG, look up a watch list.
That's what he did.
That's what I did.
Paul did.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I like season 2. So now I've looped back after finishing it. I was like, oh, now I'll go back and watch all the episodes that because I like it now, right? So like it's like I know I like it. So I went back and I started at season 2 and I rewatched all the things. I think I'm going to at some point go through season 1 and watch it because I think I'll like it just because I love the characters.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to go at it. Because, like, the characters' personalities by the midpoint of season 1, are pretty strong.
Yeah. Okay.
There's still, like, a
just
little
gotta
bit
get-
of Picard being an asshole for no reason.
Yeah.
But
he's
that
just
sort of
mad.
fades away by the beginning of season 2.
Plus, Tasha has to go. She gots to
She's
go.
gotta go. Get
Yeah, Josh
slime
has that-
monstered.
Josh has that opinion that Tasha
Get her
Yar had to
out!
go.
Get her out! There's too many things! Get her out! She's expendable.
I have the opinion that she has to go because she quit the show. You can't really keep her on after that, right?
No, if she doesn't show up, they didn't have computer holograms yet, so they couldn't.
They'd have figured it out.
I absolutely love how viciously they got rid of that character. She's like, I don't want to do the show anymore, and they're like, all right, well, your character got slapped to death by a tar monster, and no one cared.
Right.
Next.
That was the cool thing. It was like just a shitty monster
Yeah.
of nothing. It had no consequence. Had nothing. There wasn't a grand foe from one of the races that was threatening them.
Yeah.
Just a slime monster.
Meaningless death. I think they say that. I think
Yeah.
Guinan says that later. She's like, you
Yeah, she
die a
does.
meaningless
Yeah,
death.
she asks Guinan, she's like, well, how do I die? And she says, you die a meaningless death. And then
Lady Guinan.
Tasha Yar still is like, well, all right, I guess I will.
So to loop
it's
it back
important
around
to
though,
know.
I didn't like the first episode because it had what I always thought about Star Trek, which was the schmaltziness of the kind of campiness of the original
Yeah.
series, which this episode doesn't really have too much of.
No,
Yeah, it's
I mean,
light
the
on
original
that.
series, that campiness is from, the bad episodes for the most part. I mean,
Right.
Arena, the one with the Gorn, has, a
Yes.
lot of that campiness, but it also has a really great story.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they just didn't know how to shoot the show yet. I think that this show is so ahead of its time that they didn't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, how do we make these really lofty ideas come to life on a television show budget? You know?
Right.
I mean,
I don't
there's a
know.
line in this episode specifically where Kirk says the ruins continue on until the horizon line, but of
Right.
course you don't see that.
That set
Yeah.
that they get good fucking use out of.
Oh,
Having
yeah.
the people walk around, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're walking around on the back side of the set right there. All right, they turn that wall
Hell
around
yeah.
so that Bones can hide behind that
Look,
wall.
Behind the wall behind them that has that
like
painting on it, they are fucking filming the Lucy Desi Comedy Hour right now.
Yes, yes,
That's fucking great.
yes.
I wanted to point out that Harlan Ellison wrote this, and he was very unhappy with what ended up on TV. This has been fucking however long it came out in '67. He's been pissed up until the time he died.
Wow.
In
Yeah.
every interview, he would talk about how much he fucking hated the producers of the show for ruining his masterpiece. So
But
I thought
what
he
he
was,
wrote doesn't make any fucking sense.
yeah. So I thought what he was talking about meant that he was right. Maybe he was
Right.
not being dumb, but as it turns out, I have in my hands right now Star Trek, Harlan Ellison's The City on the Edge of Forever, the original teleplay graphic novel.
Nice.
I will circle back to this at the end of the episode, but I want it to be known that the episode is much better than this
Wow.
graphic
Yeah.
novel.
From what you told me, I've never read it, but you ran it down for me. There's a lot of how do you put that in a Star Trek
Yes,
show?
there's a lot of
the-
stuff in
the
this
group?
that does not fit into the Star Trek universe, and I'll get into
Yeah.
that once we go through the episode.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Harlan Ellison is a great writer. I Have No Mouth, But I Must Scream. And there's also another short story he wrote that I love the title of even more than I like the story, which is Repent, Harlequin, said the
Nice.
TikTok man.
That's right. That one's great.
Oh my god! What? Oh my god! It's
Josh, you would love this guy. He hates everything.
It's true.
I would love him. I know he's a lot of those science fiction guys from the 50s and 60s were really bastards.
Yeah.
He was everybody loved him unless you pissed him off.
Right.
We'll
Everybody
get into
loved
why I
watching
think
him
this
being,
is. Yeah.
Everybody loved
Josh.
watching him being an asshole to other people, but when it
Yes.
happened
Yeah.
to them, that's
Exactly.
where the problem.
That's exactly what happens with me. People get mad at me when I'm an asshole to them, but they love it when I'm being funny because it's funny. But then it's but is it?
If it was happening to you, would you find it funny?
Would you find it funny? Yeah. I don't
Josh,
know.
You should read I Have No Mouth, But I Must Scream. You should sit down on Halloween with
Fuck.
some spooky music, with a window open and some cold air breezing in, and you should
no.
It will make
All
your
right.
dick shrivel back up into your
read
body.
it. Yes, it will.
Who says my dick has already done that?
Josh
It
has a
hasn't.
dog dick. It just goes right back up into his body when he's not using
Yeah.
it.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's for safety.
That's how I keep my stuff safe.
Look, we all wish we had a dog dick, but let us talk about the city on the edge of forever.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Can I posit a question before we dive into this?
Unbelievable. This is unprecedented. What do you want?
Posit a question to the dais.
Did they remaster this entire series for Netflix?
Yes.
Yes.
It's
There
funny.
is poor quality CG in every episode of the show now.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, I mean, I gotta say, I was watching it and I was like, oh, that ship doesn't look bad, but I assume that is the CG stuff that they added to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the all the Enterprise shots are new.
Yeah.
And that's
Made to look old.
I used to like rail against that because it's like poo-pooing on what came before,
Yeah.
which I always hate.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if it's getting like a new generation of people into the original series, then who am I to say anything against it?
I don't mind it myself, but I do wish that there was like an option to watch
Yes.
the old.
It's like Star
I do
Wars.
too.
Yeah, like
You want the
Yeah.
original.
Why-
You want the original trilogy
Right.
without all the shit that he added.
Yeah,
Right.
I will say on the record that the remastering of TOS is nowhere near as egregious as the remastering of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
No.
They just add like better shots of the ship, and
Right.
they don't like. It's not a shot of the ship, and then like a fucking dewback lizard walks in front of the camera, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
The only like
What-
thing that really stood out to me is ridiculous, and apparently a lot of people didn't even notice it, is in the Gorn episode, they digitally add blinking to the
To the
Gorn's
Gorn.
eyes.
Oh, nice.
Oh man,
And it
I
looks
have to
really
watch it.
cartoonish.
I've been watching through it. Like I will leave it on when I'm doing something, so like I'll be kind of half paying attention to it. And every time I watch through it, like today I watched a couple episodes after I watched this one, I always miss the Gorn one, and it's like, where's the Gorn one? Like I can't find it.
You gotta watch it, man. The Gorn one gets a lot of crap. It's still like...
I've seen it.
It's made fun of in, like, popular culture because
I remember
of the fight
watching that at.
scene.
I remember watching that episode at the shore on like a little fucking TV, like an antenna TV we had in our room at the shore one time, and me and my cousin were like, "This is fucking crazy."
Yeah.
What stood out to me the most while watching it was the makeup.
Yeah.
There's
It's
a
very
lot
obvious.
of like there's a lot of
Yeah.
old school makeup in this. Like when
like-
Sulu is unconscious and
Dude,
he has
Sulu's
Sulu's
eyes.
eyelids.
Yeah, Sulu's eyes are fluttering.
Sulu
Yeah.
was in the Black Parade
Dude.
when I was a young ensign.
It's the makeup, especially like Bones' face, looks like horrendous when he
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
like his affliction.
Yeah.
So
They
it does
figured-
its job.
It
They
does.
figured that people were going to be watching this literally on like a 6-inch screen,
Yeah.
like in black and white.
Screens were only going to get smaller, guys.
Harlan Ellison wrote about it.
That's true. I mean, they had absolutely nothing close to high definition. The TV would be like
Yeah.
12 inches at most.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
like it was horrible. It was horrible.
Yeah, it was never meant to be seen in HD, but it still look like the series looks good remastered. There's just things that stand out. That's all I had to.
In my
Sure.
grandparents' house, there are pictures of my grandfather taking pictures of their television during the moon landing. Like, he took pictures of the TV
Uh-huh.
because they were landing on the moon, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
which is like crazy, right? Immediately, you're like, this is what people had to do, right?
Right.
Yeah, you had to take photos and then take your fucking film and get it developed.
Mm-hmm.
And their TV is it's like dog shit. Like, it looks horrible. Like, it's through a picture, so it's already bad, right?
Yeah.
But like, it's just like, oh my god, like,
Dude,
how did?
When I was a kid, our TV set was like the size of an entire entertainment center, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And the screen was 12 inches, just
Yep.
right in the middle of it.
Yep.
Dude, I remember that fucker would get so fucking hot.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he'd like touch the VCR on top of it, and it would be like, "Is this thing gonna cause a fire in this house? Like this fucker is hot as hell."
If
It's
you
like when
watch
Spock
more than
blows up
3
those
hours.
tubes in this episode.
dude, I love it.
Before we get
I
into
love
this
it.
episode, since we're going to be hopping into it with both feet, going through it scene by scene as we always do, let's take a break. We will be
Okay.
right back after these messages from our sponsor.
It was Cocoa Pebbles.
Mr. Spock!
My search for something super chocolatey has led me here.
Must be my delicious Cocoa Pebbles.
Fascinating.
They're yours if you take me on the Enterprise.
Mega chocolatey taste.
Beam me up. Dino? Barney, my pebbles!
Warp speed ahead.
How's Cocoa Pebbles cereal part of this nutritious breakfast?
And we're back. Hopefully you bought that good and or service.
I wonder what commercial I'm gonna put in next time.
Buy it.
Hopefully we get an actual sponsor at some
That'd
point.
be great. Hopefully that happens. I'll take anyone's money.
That'd
Call
be nice.
us.
That would help me too. So yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, call us, Star Trek Online.
I'll do it for a free lifetime sub.
I'll do it for money. So let's jump into this episode. The beginning of this episode, I instantly thought, we start out on a shot of the red alert beacon
Yeah.
on, and I thought, man, they would never do that in a modern show.
Yeah.
But
They might not.
we learned that our heroes are caught in time distortion waves around a planet that's supposed to be completely uninhabited.
It's
Yeah.
turbulence, like in an airplane.
Yeah,
It's
so
the sense I was getting, again, first TOS episode, was the technobabble felt less explained in these episodes.
Yeah, well, that's the TOS, like, kind of. So, like, I don't know, like the problem I kind of have, because I'm spoiled on TNG, is like the way that the writing works is like there's like a bunch of problems that lead to like this ultimate kind of problem.
Yeah.
Right, but like sometimes there's just like one too many little problems in TOS that lead to the big problem.
Right.
Like too many breadcrumbs are leading to, like, just get to the meat of it. Right. That's how I feel.
it sounds like a bunch of
sometimes.
bullshit, but all right.
I mean, you have met me, right?
Yeah, well,
But this episode is pretty good. Plus, you get like some real good fucking in-camera fucking Star Trek fun right away. You
That's
get the
true.
camera shake.
Yep.
You get the panel exploding.
Yep.
the panel explodes. Poor Sulu gets it in the face in this fucking show like every other episode,
Yeah.
and like he falls unconscious even though he has
Oh
no
my.
visible wounds. So they call McCoy to the bridge, who this substance will be important for the rest of the show.
Cortisone.
Cordrazine.
Cortisone 10. It's for when you hurt your muscles. It's like
Apparently, in the
Bengay.
future, there is some sort of medical item that can kill you if you put too much of it in yourself, which seems like they'd
Apparently-
be beyond that.
Apparently, like, it doesn't, though, because fucking what happens later, I mean, that would kill an elephant, I
That's
would think.
true.
Apparently, it makes you dope and you travel through time.
I think the lesson is do drugs.
It's true. Like, McCoy, Bones starts just screaming at the top of his lungs after he injects himself, too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I love that he uses the words killers and assassins just over
Yeah,
and over and over
constantly.
again.
Like, what is he talking about?
I don't
That's
know.
some fucking Red Scare shit right there.
assassins!
He's just losing his fucking mind.
And
So-
But he gives Sulu enough of it, but, like, Captain Kirk is like,
He doubts him.
Bones. Yeah, I don't know. Bones.
Well,
Should
Captain
you do
Kirk
this?
has two great moments in this where he has to be a smart captain and step back or step forward to manipulate somebody.
Yeah, this is what all captaining is all about. Either
true.
2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yep. So he steps back there and lets Bones do his job.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out that Sulu wakes up like a character in like a flu medicine commercial. Like he's like, ah.
It's like the yawn. The smile yawn. Fucking nobody wakes up like that. Fuck
No.
you.
But
Get fucking real.
like McCoy gains super strength, which apparently is a side effect of the Cordrazine,
Yeah, sure.
because he beats up everyone on the
He,
bridge.
he throws that guy. So, like, there's some space turbulence, and then he, like, injects himself in the stomach with, like, this fucking hypo spray, right?
Right.
And it goes, like, psss, like, you can tell, like, it's, like, really long.
It's really
And
letting
then he
itself
turns,
in there, yeah.
he turns into a fucking werewolf, dude.
Yeah, he goes fucking bonkers.
He does. He
Like,
he basically
immediately.
does become a werewolf because he has super strength and he's just violently attacking everyone around him.
And he's just snarling and growling, and he's hiding and stuff. Werewolves love to hide.
And then
he also
they do what werewolves do best, which is throw a stuntman that just appeared on set.
Wow!
he's smart
I'm
enough.
Mr. Roddenberry's agent! Wow!
He's
That was
smart enough that
Carl.
when he gets to the transporter room, he knows how to use the transporter. Even
Yeah.
though he's like killers, assassins, but then he puts in the code for the transporter.
I think my favorite Star Trek technology bit that is overlooked is the self-use transporter. Like, you don't even need another person.
Right.
You just, like, it's like a camera. You just, like, set it to go off in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I love that.
You know what I loved about that scene was there was a red alert on the ship that a crazy man was going around throwing people. And he goes into the teleporter room and the doors are like, and the guy working the teleporter just is like, just sitting there working his teleporter, and he just walks up and side chops him. And I was like,
karate, he like double karate chops his ass.
yeah. And I was like,
great.
You didn't hear that fucking door open? It's a red alert.
Not
Nah,
to take
man.
up for the show, not to be on the show's side on this one, but the red alert was because they were in the time band shit, not because
Gotcha.
there was a werewolf
Gotcha.
on board.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I would prioritize like the turbulence over werewolf. Like, if we're on an airplane, I think the turbulence would freak me out more than the werewolf would. I'd be like, werewolves are fine, whatever. I'll just turn into a fucking werewolf. Whatever.
If you're ever the sky marshal on my plane and we're in turbulence and a werewolf is going crazy and you're shooting out the windows at the turbulence, I'm gonna be pissed at you, Josh.
Fuck you, turbulence!
That's another one on the list of jobs that Josh should not have. Air marshal,
He's making it worse.
right next to surgeon.
Pissed off the sky.
So, like, McCoy transports down to the planet's surface, which they don't know fucking jack shit about this planet yet. They're, like,
Right.
riding the waves trying to get to it, but the transporter works fine.
Uh-huh.
In every TNG episode, they can't transport through thunder clouds, but, like,
Right.
waves of time is fine.
Time waves is fine. It's
And
fine.
so-
Heisenberg compensator. It's fine.
Kirk orders a landing party, which is made up of
Everybody.
every named character on the show. And there's a sweet ass set that we're going to be spending a lot of time in.
Oh man! So in STO, you can go to there's a mission that you go to this planet.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So is the
and you
gate
talk-
there?
Yeah, you talk to the gate, and the gate says, "I'm the gate. I talk like this.
The gate.
25 quatloos."
Josh, you need to read "I Have No Mouth" and I must scream because the gate is a very Harlan Ellison thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
true.
Like a self AI, like
a thing that's
is it alive?
way smarter than the people around it. It's probably
Yeah,
it's Harlan Ellison being like, "This is me. I'm the gate."
Yeah, I'm the gate. Yeah, that's right. That's some writer
Fucking
shit.
idiots won't listen to me. I'm trying to be
Yeah.
a gate for you.
We're gonna talk about later how people who are ahead of their time can't live in their time.
Yes.
This is like a huge theme that I love about Star Trek in general. They always do this.
That's true.
Yeah.
But every
Okay.
time there's a time travel episode that comes up,
Yep.
um,
It's a curse, man.
apparently all you have to do to activate the Guardian of Forever and
Yeah.
allow him, and he will allow you to travel through time in any way you wish, is to ask him a question.
Yep.
Sure, it's like a Hobbit situation. Riddle me, give me a riddle.
Right.
They're like searching around the planet for bones during this whole time, and around the planet I mean around the set.
I love how he's hiding behind a rock, and like Uhura walks by, and she's like, "I don't know where he is. He could be anywhere." And he goes, and he like pops up behind the rock, and he's like a werewolf, and you're like, "There he is, right there, Uhura!" Fucking.
Kirk just completely forgets about looking for bones for a while. He's like, "Oh shit,
Yeah.
a time machine!
I got to check this out.
Fuck
This is-
bones!"
This is a D&D party when this happens. It's a bunch
Yeah.
of people failing their perception checks all around, and then
Yeah.
Kirk and Spock are just, they met a cool NPC.
Yep, and they're like,
Pretty
"Hold on, we
much.
gotta talk to this thing."
Dude, I've played in a Star Trek tabletop game before. Highly fucking recommend that.
Damn,
Oh, yeah.
man, we should do.
It is
fuck.
absolutely amazing. Like,
Yeah, we need to do
I'm
that.
gonna segue into this for a second because it was my favorite like tabletop gaming experience in my life.
That's
I played.
awesome.
I played the chief of security on a ship. We beamed down to a planet to find like where some hostile alien waves were coming from, right?
Sure.
And we went down into this dank ass pit, and there was an alien there that was trying to kill us.
Uh-huh.
And the DM had rolled up all these stats for fighting the alien because she was 100% sure we were just going to open fire with phasers on the alien.
Right.
So I went up to the alien and I was like, "Hey man, what's wrong?"
So
like
Star Trek.
a chief of security does.
And
Yeah.
we fucking like talked the alien through the problem. Like the alien was trapped on the planet in the machine that we found it in, and so we freed it from the machine, and it was like, "Thank you, bye."
Welcome to the machine.
And fucking the DM was like, "Well, I guess the game's over."
Dude, amazing.
She was like, "I didn't expect you to actually play it like Starfleet officers, but."
I feel like we do that with Hadley, except for we just wind up pissing Hadley off.
Hadley does their best to keep us in order. They do.
I think we really piss Hadley off.
I'm always really impressed with Hadley's ability to wrangle you bunch of morons.
I mean, we're dumb as fuck, so it's impressive to me too. We're really stupid.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that happen for seemingly no reason, Bones starts yelling and runs out, and the whole search party starts fighting him.
Yeah,
And
you gotta fight the werewolf, right?
And Spock, Vulcan nerve pinches him.
Yeah, they beat
And
his
then
ass.
they immediately stop paying attention to Bones and start talking to the portal again.
Yeah, they're like, hold up, we still gotta figure out this portal sitch over here.
Like, don't send Bones back to the ship or anything. Just lay his unconscious body there. And
Well, they figure out that that's why there's turbulence, right? Is it's
Yeah.
like emitting all this crazy time distortions and shit.
Kirk
So that's
gets his-
something they figure out.
That's true. Kirk gets his standard, like, Starfleet idea that they can use the uncontrollable source of power in order to better mankind.
Sure,
Absolutely.
why not?
In this case,
Let's
he's
bring
gonna
this
better
time machine
Bones.
Yeah. Oh, let's go back a day, right? He's like, can we go back a day?
Yeah.
Before.
Which
It's
is, that's an audience thing, right? Like, you as an audience member is like, hey, you could use the thing to fix Bones.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not normally in the show, though.
We
Yeah.
could use this monkey paw.
It'll work out great.
definite monkey paw situation.
While none of them are paying attention to Bones, who's just like slumped over a rock, he just jumps up and runs the fuck into the portal.
I
And
love
then
him.
$1 million man through the portal to the
And everybody
loved
jumps
it.
at him.
They're like, no, Bones!
Like, they all jump for the wide swung fucking pitch, right?
Yeah.
They're all like, no! and my favorite is Kirk lands like 10 feet away from the portal.
He was close. At least, like, fucking Herschel Walker's his way through the fucking
right.
crowd,
I was
dude.
just gonna say.
Like, fucking, like, Emmett
Yeah.
Smith over here running
Okay,
the
I get that
football.
one.
Levon Bell.
Here's,
Hey,
here's where
Le'Veon
the-
Bell.
Le'Veon Bell, sorry.
Neon Deion Sanders. All right.
He fucking too legit to quit his way through. Remember that? That's the 90s as fuck.
Oh, we're not on that one anymore. We're on this podcast.
Oh shit! They all blend together.
Go to the
me.
Patreon and find out more about the
Yeah, for as
90s
low as
episode.
$1, you too can hear us talk about 80 different subjects for 5 seconds each.
What a selling point.
Here's like where the dread sets in, right? Who is like, wait, I don't have contact with the Enterprise anymore.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, the communicator's fine, but where's the Enterprise? And the Guardian's like, hey, time's changed. You guys don't even exist anymore.
So
Yeah.
that confused me. So like in TNG, they probably would have handled it right. Like it would have been like a shot of the gate, and then it would have turned around, and they would have been in like regular old clothes with no technology, and they'd be like, "What's going on?"
There's a thing
so-
that the gate says like really quickly that the planet is beyond time.
It's shielded, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I missed
And
that line.
they do that in First Contact. Like they fly through that wake of the Borg time portal, and they're like, and I think Crusher is like, why aren't we affected? Why are we still here? And like Data's like, the wake must have protected us from the changes of the timeline. It's
Gotcha.
always something protects them.
Well,
Sure.
that is a way that Harlan Ellison's original script is a little bit better. They do outright explain that the planet is completely shielded from the effects of time change.
yeah, it makes sense, right? Like it's like in its own sort of time sphere, right?
Yeah, totally. Okay.
It makes as much sense as
But
anything.
I love the line that Kirk gives. He looks just past the camera, not into it, and says, Earth's not there. At least, not the Earth we know.
Oh shit!
We're totally
What's going
alone.
on? Damn! And then a commercial happens.
Yeah.
Music swells.
but not on Netflix.
No, thankfully.
Thank you, Netflix.
There's a very awkward pan up to the fake stars as well, where the camera kind of shakes, like the cameraman was like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah, because they didn't have good like cam shit.
Their
It was just,
gimbal,
like,
their gimbals were bad.
yeah, old.
There's a great lead in as well where Kirk continues his captain's log, where he says, "Captain's log, no stardate.
Yeah.
For us, time does not exist."
Yeah, that was good.
It's so good. That's so good.
They run into a problem where the Guardian of Forever is like, I could slow down time if I wanted to, but I'm not gonna.
Right. Like, because it's like the gate is like showing time like flicker through like a TV.
It's going
like
through
Futurama.
like eras. It's going through like super eras. Like it's like, Roman era.
Romans.
It's going through whatever B-roll they happen to have of historical eras.
Dude, I was like watching it. I'm like, okay, here's file film about Rome. Here's file film about the Dark Ages. Cool.
Here's some Robin Hood footage from a Robin Hood special that they
For
did.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys show up a couple times.
Cowboys. Yep.
Because they have 9 billion hours of cowboy footage.
Some F Troop was in there.
But they're trying to like figure out how they can follow Bones through the times through the time.
Just jump in, you ding dongs.
And thankfully, Spock had started like recording the gate right as he jumped in. So they're like, all right, we know the exact time he jumped in, and I, being Spock, am a human computer.
Right.
So now we know when to jump. I've got it all figured out.
He did the math in his head.
There's some really heavy dialogue there where Kirk talks to Uhura and Scotty, and he's like, look, if we fail, each of you has to try afterwards until none of us is left.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because it's like we're fucked either way.
Yeah, right,
we're gonna
he
die
basically
either way,
says.
right? Yeah.
At least you'll find some happiness.
Yeah.
Right. He's like, just jump into a time where you're not gonna get murdered right away.
Yeah. So Uhura, no time.
Yeah, Uhura, please don't follow us to the 1930s.
Hopefully we'll get there.
Don't go to the 1950s, Uhura.
There's a tiny. You got to thread the needle here. It's gonna have to be like 1970 to like 1990.
I wouldn't even go in 1970.
I'd say like 1985 to 2005 is your fucking thread the needle.
It's so sad. Oh god, that's depressing.
Yeah.
This is sad. It is.
But then we get some fun. They arrive in 1930 in New York City.
And it's the Depression. Yay!
Fun for everybody.
Everyone loves that time period. It was great.
I love that they show up in the Depression because I was thinking about it and I was like, well, I guess they couldn't go post World War II because it was too fresh for them.
It's too new, yeah.
Actually, I'm going to change the fucking dynamic here. I'm going to start talking about this script as I talk about the episode.
Okay.
Because there are some great comparisons here.
You're crazy.
For instance, when they go back in time in the show, they have a bunch of people stare at them because they're dressed like clowns and just walking down the street, and one of them has elf ears.
Would you jump ship?
In the book, in the original teleplay, everybody thinks that Spock is Chinese and are very, very racist and violent towards him.
Yeah, I think they pull that in TOS a few times too, where they say he's from like China.
Yeah, they do in this episode. It's weird in this episode, but like it gets like blatantly racist in the book.
Yeah.
It felt kind of racist in the show too. I was kind of like,
for sure. They like use like slurs in the book.
Oh, okay, right.
And they try and kill him because he's Chinese.
Oh, sure. We need to do that. Yeah.
Well, it's it's maybe like a commentary on the times. They want to kill him because he took their jobs.
Oh, what? So it's like now.
It's like now.
Oh.
And
but not not Chinese people so much.
Not
yet, anyway.
Eventually, it'll be every people that are.
It'll be everybody.
So. Yeah. I just wanted to point that out. Actually, I'll come back to the book later.
That's crazy. I mean, that's the stuff in the book though, where you're like. It's like extraneous. I mean, maybe that's like maybe that's like a B plot, right? Like maybe there's a tenant.
There's already enough in the show is the thing.
Yeah,
like if you turn this teleplay into a show, it'd be 2 hours long.
Right. It's a movie at that point, right?
there's a great moment where they almost get arrested by a police officer because they stole clothes from an alley.
Yeah.
Kirk goes into this long tirade about like explaining themselves, and the policeman does not give a fuck.
He just
Yeah, he's like, turn around so I can arrest you right now.
Yeah,
with my old timey handcuffs.
and they Vulcan neck pinch him because that's fixed all of our problems so far.
That's how you get out of problems. Just pinch your way through them.
Mm-hmm.
And they run into a filthy basement.
Yeah.
And
the clothes they grabbed fit them perfectly.
Perfectly.
So there's an Enterprise episode that borrows from this episode, and I talk about it all the time. It's called Carbon Creek.
Oh yeah.
And it's not a time travel episode, but it's T'Pol telling the captain and Trip about her great-great-grandmother, who is the first Vulcan to land on Earth. Mm-hmm. And they're like, you're full of shit. The first Vulcans to land on Earth were in Montana and Zephyr Cochrane. And she's like, would you like me to tell you the story? And then it's like a flashback episode where T'Pol is playing her great-grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And they steal the clothes, and she puts the dress on backwards. And it's funny, because they don't know about dresses.
That's good.
And the Vulcan guy's like, I think you're wearing that garment backwards.
I was expecting Spock, and now this is probably me not knowing the characters too well, but I was expecting Spock to be the butt of the joke, and for him to have an odd-fitting outfit. I was expecting that, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, he wouldn't be though. If anyone, if it would be Bones if he was there with them.
That's true.
Gotcha.
Bones is always the dummy dumb,
Gotcha,
right?
Okay. I know Spock's
interestingly
not
enough,
dumb, but I figured they would make him the butt of the joke.
They do fish out of water stuff with him sometimes.
Yeah. It's just not as like blatant with him.
Right.
I guess it's interesting enough to point out that Spock is very, very, very emotional in the teleplay.
Really?
Like, he gets ragingly pissed off at the human beings in this era and calls them barbarians and gets into an argument with Kirk about it.
It's funny because they call it a barbaric age twice.
Yeah.
In the episode leading up to when they get there.
They talk about, like, when Spock later has to make that circuit. He's like, these people are no more advanced than, like, bear skins and hatchets or stone hatchets.
Yeah.
And it's fucking true. Like, 1930s, like, there was, like, indoor plumbing and radios, but, like, that's about it. Like, other than that, like, that's it.
If you compare that technology to the Star Trek futures technology, it is like rocks and spears and shit, you know?
Yep.
It's crazy.
They try to use the tricorder, but they can't access information because there's no Enterprise computer.
Right.
And there's this great moment where Kirk is like, well, you know, you could make an aid and use all the materials here, and Spock's like, that would be absolutely impossible, and Kirk plays him like a fucking fiddle.
And he does the good captain, where he's like, I'm gonna talk you into this. You won't even know what happened.
Yeah, he plays him like a fucking fiddle. He's like, hey, you know, I expect too much of you sometimes, Spock. Like, I thought that maybe you weren't a dumbass.
Yeah.
It's impossible. You're right. You could never do it.
It'd be a hell of a logic puzzle for you there, buddy.
Yeah. You're not logical enough for that, you bitch.
So this is like the Data going back in time to Mark Twain times, right? When Data has to make that fucking...
yes.
Data's always doing this. Data always makes, like, when he's the Iceman on that planet, he makes, like, a fucking, like, science kit. You know, he's always doing this shit. And I love this about Star Trek, like, this idea that, like, these people are, and especially Spock, is, like, so smart that he can just, like, think through the problem, like, at a macro level.
Right.
And be like, well, I'll just make a really big circuit, because that's what they have. They don't have microchips, right? So...
And you don't think about, like... what kind of intelligence that would take, because we always talk about as people just in general, like, if I went back in time I would run the place because I know about technology and everything,
right? But do you know how, like, a microchip works?
Right. Like, can you reverse engineer every component of the thing that you're trying to make?
How many vacuum tubes do you need to make a microchip? Like, for like it's fucking crazy.
Right.
Yeah. Like 99.999% of people, you would go back in time and get shot by an arrow and fucking die because you wouldn't know how to do anything.
Right.
You wouldn't know how to dodge that arrow.
Spock goes back in time and recreates the microchip on a macro level because he's just that smart.
Used in, like, modern ass fucking technology for their time that's, like, super advanced.
Yep.
And the two of them kiss so loud that a lady comes down the stairs and she's like, "What's going on down here?
What's with all the man kissing down here?
We don't take kindly to that in this time, or
the
any time in the
1930s.
next 80 years." But we meet the crux of the episode, the most important character, Edith Keeler, who magically makes every camera that's pointed at her much more soft.
Dude, I love that they put beauty lighting on her for every shot she's in. I was totally going to bring that up.
So golden age. It's like,
It is.
oh my god.
And the thing is, she doesn't need that. She's a very beautiful lady.
Right.
Dude, that's how they did it.
They have the
just did
fucking
it that
lights
way.
in her eyes and everything. It's beautiful.
She's very optimistic, so they need the lights in her eyes. She's like, just glows.
She's
literally,
too pure for the
right?
world.
Yep,
And-
she's too born too soon.
She's
Yep.
too pure for walking across the street.
And looking both ways.
But Edith Keeler is a very, very understanding person because she finds two men in her basement and
Yeah.
is like, you guys are definitely just victims of the poor economy and not murder
Well,
rapists.
That probably would have been what happened then. Like, people weren't running around afraid of other people as much then.
That's
Like,
true.
during the like depression especially, like people were just homeless and stuff, and like people were just like, I want a job. I don't want to, like, I'm not a raper or a murderer
Right.
so
They-
much.
They get a
It
pretty
was
good
probably a
job,
little
actually. Like, for the depression, they get fucking 15 cents an hour, which is...
22 cents an hour.
I
think
That's the
they
second.
get
That's the second
15.
job they get.
That's
Yeah.
the second job.
They get
Okay.
15 cents an hour, which I did some mathematics and some research.
he did the
You
math.
build a- yeah.
Most of the jobs that you could get during the Depression would net you a grand 7 cents an hour.
Woo!
So they're making a shit ton of money.
7 cents though. You could go see a Nickelodeon and buy 2 penny candies.
It's a dated reference. They
I
make
mean-
15 cents an hour, which means that each of them is getting $6 a week.
Yeah.
They are living high and fucking wide.
Yeah,
you
that
could
could
buy a
Depression.
Model A.
That apartment they rent is $2 a week. So they got $4 left over.
$4? We could go to the movie films and see a Clark Gable movie.
Yeah, you can also buy so much fucking hardtack and bologna with that shit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You could buy, like, oh man, what do they eat back then? Pot roasts?
Hardtack and bologna.
I had pot roast for dinner.
That sounds delicious.
It was
though.
really fucking good. Shout outs to my wife for that one. She listens.
I wish I had a wife. I wish I had Jeff's wife.
Get your own. One of my favorite scenes in the episode happens right after Edith falls in love with Kirk. We get
Which is like pretty immediate.
yeah. Well, he's handsome as fuck, right?
He's a spaceman and he's awesome and he knows
He
stuff.
pours the
Yeah.
charm on, and it's implied heavily that she knows that they're from another world right away.
Yeah.
But she's like very curious about them because they're both super
Yeah.
weird.
Mm-hmm.
And
She's
they're-
like, what did you do in the Navy? Did you want to talk about it? And he's like, no.
Yeah.
Because I was in the Space Navy. That's what he says at the camera.
Then he
in case you
winks.
forgot.
Wink, wink. We get the soup kitchen scene where
Yeah.
we learn that Edith Keeler gives everybody. I thought she was gonna like go out and play the piano, but there's just a piano there for no reason.
Yeah.
Sure.
I thought it was going to be a religious speech, but then it's just like, and because the guy, like the one guy sitting next to Kirk is like, oh, what do you hear this bullshit we got to listen to
Yeah.
before we get to eat? And then she just is like, you're all going to do great. And then that's the shit he's
Yeah.
pissed about having to hear.
And then he rolls his eyes real hard about it because she's like, they'll put a man on the moon one day, and he's like, yeah, right.
Yeah, it's funny.
But my
it's
favorite,
so funny.
My favorite part of that scene is that he's like, if she really wanted to help a guy out, and Kirk just goes, shut up.
Yeah.
Just shut up.
Shut up.
It's a good commentary on like the cynicism of like this lady is like helping them, right? Like she doesn't
Yeah.
have to do that. Like
It's one
There's
of those
no-
scenes that
yeah.
I always point out that like people give Kirk a very bad rep, and like the more like Paul, the more you watch TOS, the more you'll realize that like the pop culture version of Captain Kirk is not real.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He doesn't actually exist in the show.
He's not
Yeah,
the
he's
he's
made
not the Lothario he's made out to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people make him out to be like just a womanizing piece of shit.
Yeah, he
but,
fucks
like,
screen girls, right? That's what he does. He
Really,
fucks those
he's-
screen girls.
He's like one of the. If I had to pick the male character on television during the fucking 60s who was the most feminist, it's probably Kirk.
Probably Captain Kirk, yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those scenes I love pointing out for that. But
Yeah,
they have
totally.
some bomb ass soup and bread and listen to some hope for the future.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Like, nobody was talking about this shit in the 30s.
No.
Like, I mean, social services were, like, just becoming a thing because of the Depression. Like, obviously, Social Security and, like all the fucking New Deal programs and shit. But,
Yeah.
like, random people, like, doing charity, like, let alone one who's talking about people going to the moon. Like, this lady must have seemed like she was from the fucking moon.
Right.
These
Yeah.
people, dude.
They think she's like a brain dead, right? They treat
Yeah,
her like
she's a
like,
dingus.
yeah. And the thing is, I don't care if like I'm homeless and a lady opens a soup kitchen with her own money
Right.
and runs it completely and allows me to come to the soup kitchen and have soup and bread.
Right.
I'm probably not gonna shit on her for it, no matter
Right.
what she tells me.
Yeah, I want that delicious ass fucking hot dog water, dude. Give me some of that sausage soup or whatever you're eating.
Fucking, she gives him she tells him there's an apartment open. Even like she's real into Kirk at this point.
Yeah, she's hooking him
Yeah.
up.
Like she's like, look, I'm not gonna help these like filthy hobos to live in my house, right? But you can, because you've got dreamy eyes.
Because I want to see your dick.
Right. She can't say that because it's 1930, but you know.
I want to see your future dick.
Maybe it's different than now, Dick. Who knows?
Maybe there's two of them. Who knows?
But like she hooks him up with an apartment, a flop.
Yeah, Flophouse.
You learn a lot of colloquialisms in this episode that haven't been in use since the 1930s.
Which, like, for them, like, think about it this way. This is how fucked up this is, right? This episode was made as long ago from the 30s as we are from when we were born.
Right.
Yes.
Fuck that shit. Time sucks. I'm
we
going
are
to a
old.
time master.
Just go to the fucking Guardian of Forever.
Yeah, send me back to the 80s.
If
I
we were
need some
making this
Nintendo.
if we were making this episode now, they would have been sent back in time and had to do a ski competition.
So I was thinking, okay, Jeff is gonna love this because
Sure.
Jeff loves when I talk about this movie. This is a reverse science fiction or a reverse fantasy episode of fucking Beastmaster 2.
Fuck you.
Because in Beastmaster, there's magic portals, right? And then they're
Yeah.
like in a fantasy world, and then they go into the future, which
Yeah,
is the 80s.
The future of 1983.
Yep.
It's great.
Beastmaster 2 is a fucking abomination.
I might have been high on NyQuil when I thought of this too, so
Jesus.
I was like, I'm gonna take some of this NyQuil and watch this episode.
That sounds like a good pairing. This episode and that movie.
To anyone listening at home, do not watch Beastmaster 2.
We're gonna watch it for our Patreon. We're gonna do it.
It is available on YouTube in its entirety. Do not
We're
go
gonna watch
it right now.
We're gonna watch it. We're gonna talk about it. It's great.
Also,
a girl
don't
in
watch
it.
Dinosaur Planet.
It's called Planet of the Dinosaurs, Jeff, and it's amazing.
That movie rocks.
That movie fucking sucks. Oh no.
That's the synth sounds in every fucking scene.
So, several days have passed since that sweet-ass soup kitchen scene,
Yeah.
and Spock is trying to make a computer, basically, in the year 1930,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
and he has this great line where he's like, hey, get me some platinum.
need
A
5.
small block of it will do.
Need 5 pounds of platinum.
5 pounds of platinum. Like, do you know how much 5 pounds of platinum would cost you today? Like,
Jesus. And
it'd
they
be
get,
like, yeah, give me $1 million.
which is like $1 billion today.
Yeah, today, right? Like, fucking crazy,
Right.
dude.
But they get like the dopest job that anyone ever got during the Depression. They get 22 fucking cents an hour.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Spock and Kirk Rockefeller over here.
Spockerfeller.
Spockerfeller. I'm seriously. Oh, damn it.
You're slower than me.
Anyway. No, that was good. That was good. I'll allow it.
I'm just laughing at myself. I don't need anybody else's opinion.
So they go to their new job, which is 22 cents an hour to sweep the fucking floors at a clock shop.
Like, what in the fuck how much does a clock cost then?
Apparently, quite a fucking lot.
Who's making 22 cents an hour in 1930 selling clocks?
Germans.
I don't know.
That might be true. There's some really nice German clocks.
I don't know.
They call them Glockenspiels.
The Germans weren't doing so good at this point economically.
No, they were having wheelbarrows full of Deutschmarks to buy a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
So our heroes,
which leads us to a future thing in this episode.
Yeah, actually. But our heroes, who we love and who are beyond reproach morally, break into a safe to steal tools so that Spock can work on his computer.
He needs tools, right?
Edith, being the most understanding woman that ever lived, just believes them when they say they'll take them back.
Yeah.
She's like, well, I do want to fuck Kirk, so...
Maybe I'm okay with them stealing a bunch of clockmaker tools.
From a job that I got
she's
them,
like, steal
that I
those
vouched
tools.
them.
Steal those tools. I'm about to steal that dick, Kirk.
I'm gonna steal that tool.
I'm astounded at how good of a person Edith Keeler is. That she's just...
She has to die, Jeff. She has to die.
Yeah, and you feel it because she is, like, so unbelievably nice.
Too pure.
Yeah.
And, like, Kirk is absolutely falling head over heels for this lady, because who wouldn't, right?
Yeah, well, she's like, to him, like, I mean, he kind of, like, is like Spock in that, like, you kind of are objective when you go back in time as, like, a Starfleet officer, right? Like, you have to follow the Prime Directive and the Temporal Prime Directive. Like, you can't interfere. But then you meet somebody in this time who is, like, could be from your time.
Right.
Like, who might as well fucking be, like, a human from your time. And it's like, well, what's not attractive about that? Like, it's, like, immediately you're attracted to that.
She's like... You expect, like, a show this time to have a character that's, like, the main character's perfect woman.
Right.
To be, like, very docile and, like, easily rolled over
Mousy.
and stuff.
Yeah,
but
mousy.
she's actually, like, pretty quick-witted and, like, has, like, a little, like, quip back every time.
Yeah.
Which is pretty refreshing for the time, I think.
Yeah, even for 67.
Yeah, she felt like a 60s lady. Like, it was definitely like a feminist movement woman. Like, you know, it felt like she was running this entire operation herself and being very
man. She doesn't need any man.
Yeah, she's obviously very successful.
I mean, she needs Kirk, but just for sex, which is totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Women have needs too, guys.
He's like straight up in love with her, and she's definitely like falling for him a little bit. Although she's really just interested because he seems like a weirdo space case.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There is an absolutely excellent moment of acting from the Shat in this scene, where he's like super flirty with her, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to find out about you. And she turns and walks away. And as he's walking towards the edge of the screen very slowly, his smile completely fades off. And he looks super worried.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he's like, we're from fucking space.
Like, how am I going to keep this under wraps, right?
I'm going to have to kill this bitch.
And as it turned out...
Yo, real quick. Edith Keeler Must Die is a great name for a band.
In the 90s.
Yes.
It would be a great name for a band.
That is a fantastic band name. That is an incredible band name.
Well, we got our band, boys.
Let's do it.
Killer Must Die.
I'd say it's probably a good time for another break. What do you guys
Let's
think?
watch another commercial, but on our ears.
Yeah. Open up your ear holes for this new commercial.
Because you thought of it. It's your commercial.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Captain's log. No stardate. McCoy has changed the course of time. What are you? I am the guardian of forever. Now. All right, come on.
Oh, how careless of your wife to let you go out that way.
What?
One day soon, man is going to be able to harness incredible energies, maybe even the atom.
Speculation. I find her most uncommon, Mr. Spock. I'm in love with Edith Keeler. Edith Keeler must die. Load him!
And we're back, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
I hope that entertaining and edutaining commercial taught you something new.
Buy Pepsi or whatever it was.
Pepsi, if you want to sponsor us.
Money on me.
Who knows? Who knows what I'm gonna do? I'm crazy. I'm the crazy one.
He is. He's the Daffy Duck.
I can't do a good
I've never been able to do a Bugs Bunny either, and that always fucking
Bugs
made
Bunny
me so
voice
sad.
is super hard.
It is.
Because it's so iconic, man.
Nobody really sounds like Mel Blanc did either.
No.
That's the thing.
It's too unique.
So after like a couple days where Edith Keeler and Kirk are getting closer.
Yeah, they're probably fingering or whatever people did in the 30s.
Wonder what song they fingered to.
Oh, fucking 1920s Van Halen. That's what
Van Halen.
They fucking fingered to the Entertainer. Spock finally gets the tricorder working with his room full of electronics.
Which is pretty fucking accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you figure he's Spock, right? Like, ENIAC was fucking huge.
Yeah, he
so.
makes an ENIAC, yeah.
Yeah.
He makes
So
a
you
very
figure,
tiny ENIAC.
A very small ENIAC,
Because
yeah.
he's super smart.
Yeah, he's smart.
But
he got that platinum he needed.
Stole that shit too.
Who knows where he got it from?
So he sees Edith Keeler's obituary. She dies that year.
Oh, and it's because the tricorder like shows like the what it recorded from the Guardian of the Galaxy.
It
right?
recorded several newspapers.
Right.
Is what it recorded.
It loved that Guardian thing. Loves spinning headline, fucking movie trope.
The computer also shows another newspaper with Edith meeting FDR to talk about something in 36.
Which is crazy.
And then the computer explodorates.
It goes...
And
I can smell that smell.
Oh,
I can
yeah.
smell it.
Oh yeah, that definite cancer smell.
That fucking like electronic smell. Oh god, I love it.
It has some cool colors when it explodes too. There's some purple in there
and some copper burning up in there.
Definite tumors coming.
Yeah, it's asbestos as hell, isn't it?
But like, Kirk's like psyched when he sees Edith Keeler is gonna meet FDR. He's like, oh man, she's gonna like be nationally famous, like my baby.
Yeah.
And Spock's like, well, I saw her obituary too, so.
Yeah, we don't know what's the right way, right? Like,
Yeah.
but they start to figure out that that's the crux of the time change,
Right.
is that she is involved somehow.
The novel, the teleplay, is very fucking ham-handed about it.
Really?
They do this weird thing, like the focal point of time is blue as the sky and framed by the sun, and you'll see the key. And when they meet her, she's wearing a blue dress with a sun symbol on it, and her name is Keeler.
Oh, Keeler.
No.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Also, they say "City on the Edge of Forever" in it. Like, this is just like a
I'm
city
sick
on the
of
edge
living.
of forever.
Man, if only we could find a job in this city on the edge of forever.
But yeah, they end up with this like this moral question, right? Once it slowly starts to become like obvious that she has to die.
Right.
However,
Well, Spock figures that out, right? Like he figures out what happens after. Did they get to that? Are we there yet? Or
No,
like,
I mean,
there's the scene with bones between it, right?
yeah, like before
Yeah,
we get to
yeah,
that, like there's a great moment where Spock is like, "Well, what happens if she has to die to save our future?" And Kirk just stares off. He has no answer.
I love this because this is the first time in Star Trek where this is like a story element where it's like we're gonna have to make some really fucking hard choices here,
Yeah.
right? Like Kirk has to make some tough choices, but like this one's like real cuts deep, you know.
He gets gutted by this too. Like you can
Yeah.
tell at the end of the episode. But
I love it. God, I love it. It's like real life. It's just like real life.
everything sucks in real life, and I
Everything
hate
is
it, so it's-
tragic. It's fucking terrible.
But in our fictional universe, McCoy finally arrives.
He's out of his goddamn
He
mind.
is still screaming about
He's
assassins
there,
and killers.
still werewolfing.
He yells at a guy drinking milk.
Like the homeless guy drinking milk, right?
What a trope.
Like
Homeless guys drinking milk.
Bones has thought everyone is trying to kill him that he's seen up until this
Yeah.
point, but he sees this guy holding milk, and he's like, "Well, a man with milk would never kill me, right?"
No, he's safe.
I think what he was thinking was, I want that milk. I'm going to scare the fuck out of this guy.
So
he
stop
run-
drinking so much milk.
He runs up at him, and he's like, "Fucking like, I'm not gonna kill you. Don't run!" Which is
Don't
what
run
you yell.
away. Yeah.
That's what you yell to somebody when you want to make friends with them. By the way.
I'm not gonna murder you.
It was pointed out by a big fan of the show, Steve Nimzik, that during the
Yeah.
scene, Bones is wearing a pinky ring, like a really gigantic pinky ring.
What's that? A
Whoa.
Super Bowl ring?
I don't know why he's wearing it, but he is during the whole scene.
Is it like his class ring? Maybe. Like I'm just trying to like write around it. Like it's
pretty-
my Starfleet class ring.
They still do class rings in the future.
I would assume they would. In this future, probably still. They're still attached to stuff like that.
That's
you
true.
know, like they're still into that kind of shit.
But like, Bones is now a zombie. He's no longer a werewolf.
Right.
He looks so sick. He
Yes.
looks so sick.
He looks real bad in this scene.
He ends up at the soup kitchen that Edith runs.
Hold on, real quick. Let's, before we get there,
Sure.
he passes out because he goes crazy for too long.
Yeah.
And the guy, the bum who's drinking the milk, grabs, I guess, his teleporter, right?
Now he takes his phaser.
His
phaser.
Is that what happened? I was like, what the
And then
fuck
he
is-
activates the overload circuit and
and he
fucking
melts himself.
explodes.
Okay. I was like, I thought that he did that, but then I was like, no, it looked like he teleported out. Like I expected phasers from like TNG, so I expected like
Yeah,
an
they're
actual
the-
explosion or something.
They're the little phaser.
Gotcha.
He gets like garage door opened to death.
Yeah, okay, because I was like, if he got teleported, they just never touched on that again.
They
I
don't
mean,
touch
where
on
is
it
he gonna
again
go
either.
get teleported? Like either way, it's bad. Like
Yeah.
he got teleported into gas. That's what he got
Yeah.
teleported
It's
into.
completely unnecessary. Like the homeless man could have just ran away, but instead
he coulda just
dies
not
a
have
horrible,
done it.
painful death.
They were like, we have one more effect budget shot. Let's just use it on
Yeah,
this.
they needed
guy.
to have a phaser, right? So they
Right.
were like,
Well,
well,
yeah.
somebody needs to do something with a phaser. Fucking it's
Here's
Star
the
Trek.
idea, right? He has a phaser. They have to get rid of the phaser. The homeless man sees him in his dumb getup and is terrified of him. Why doesn't he go to the cops or whatever? Why doesn't
Right.
he do anything about it? Well, he explodes to death. There you go. You're free of
They
both
like wrote
problems.
themselves out of the
Yeah,
corner.
they got a couple corners covered there. Very good.
Yeah.
Not great writing. Not in the actual novel, teleplay either.
Yeah, they could have just like the phaser could have just been on him. Like you don't
Yeah.
even need to explain that he has one. Like
Right.
who cares?
He didn't
Like,
need it at
whatever.
all, honestly.
No, they wouldn't know what it was anyway. They'd be like, "What is
Yeah.
this? Like some kind of ornament?" Like they wouldn't know what the fuck that was.
Right, yeah.
There was nothing like that then. There's no way they would have known.
Thanks for reminding me that he disintegrates himself. I completely fucking
I always
forgot.
forget about that too. I always forget about that.
It was
part.
an odd moment. I had to bring it up.
It's
Yeah.
goofy as fuck.
It's weird writing when you get to a point where you're like, well, I guess he fucking blows up. Anyway, next scene.
Next scene. I guess history is fine with that one. I don't
Yes. He's not as important as Edith Keeler.
know. He
No.
wasn't contributing to society.
Milk bum must die.
So Bones
Alley
staggers,
bum.
Bones staggers into the soup kitchen that Edith runs, and she's like, "Well, you need to lay down or whatever." And he's like, "No, there's killers after me. They're gonna find me." And she's
Yeah.
like, "Well, we'll take you to the back room. They won't find you." And I guess he's so far beyond werewolf mode that he's just like, "All right."
Right. He's coming down.
He's coming down,
yeah.
yeah. That cortisone 10 only works for like a couple hours. You gotta put more on then.
They finally fixed the computer aid
Spock gets 5 more pounds of platinum.
Sure.
Somehow.
They
10 pounds of
they
platinum.
find out that Edith Keeler is at the head of like a pacifist movement, which sounds great.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, it keeps us from joining the war effort during World War II.
Right. Yeah.
Nazi Germany gets some
Gets
fucking
the
atomic bombs.
Yeah, so we don't develop the atomic bomb like we were doing since like 37, I think, is when the letter to Roosevelt was sent. Yeah. And he was like, we gotta make one of these.
So like millions of white people die this time, so that's bad. And
no one else would figure it out.
Yeah, we don't get the Starfleet future because white people die this time, and this is written in 1965.
Right.
Hey, they started it.
Kirk is like, hey, like, does she have to die though? And Spock's like, yeah. Like, if she doesn't die, our future is done. Edith Keeler must die on tour this summer.
It's fucking, dude, it's such, like, from our perspective, it's such an easy choice because, like, we're from this time or, like, a time close to when things are terrible. And, like, they should fucking know, like, having, like, lived for, like, a week back in, like, the shit times, like, yeah, this is pretty fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Like, there's homelessness is rampant. People are just okay with people starving to death on the street. Like, fuck it.
Just think about it this way, though, right? Like, think about the person you love the most in the world, so me.
Well, I mean, I have to make a decision. It's either Paul or you.
So, like, which...
It's the pot roast for me, guys.
Maybe
and
it's both of
dead.
us.
He's fucking right.
Maybe it's both of us. We both have to die, or else there's going to be, like, terrible consequences in the future. What do you do?
I mean, I know about Star Trek, so see you later, guys.
Ah, well, okay.
All I have to do is to you. All I have to do is say, what would Captain Kirk do? And you'd be like, all right, you're right.
Yeah, go for it. Let me get hit by the car. That's fine.
I mean, getting hit by a car, though,
terrible way to die.
It's pretty. All ways are bad ways, but that's a pretty bad way.
I don't want to watch that happen.
I've
seen those videos on YouTube. I watched, what's it called? Fucking Live Leak. I know about that shit.
Oh, no.
People's legs flying off and shit.
Like,
it's terrible.
Anyway, Bones wakes up in the back room, and he talks to Edith Keeler, and, like, he's a nut job, right? Like, he's regained his mind for the most part, but he's like, I'm from space. You know?
He says, like, I'm from space. I work on a ship.
I'm the chief medical officer aboard the USS Enterprise.
And she's like, okay, so you're in the Navy. She's like, I've never seen a Navy uniform. They love that line in this show. I've never seen a Navy uniform like this.
I'm a surgeon.
I'm a space Navy man.
Yeah. That's what he
get
says.
to wear t-shirts.
I'm from the future. He does his I'm a surgeon, not a psychiatrist.
Yeah, that's
even though he is a psychiatrist.
Yeah, even though
he
he
is
is
psychiatrist.
He's both. That's why they call him Bothans.
No, they call him Bones because his wife took everything in the divorce.
She left me with my bones. She took everything from my life, and I'm sad.
Kirk goes to sees Edith Keeler going up the stairs, and he's like, "Hey, baby, what's up?" And
hey, toots. Hey, what do they say in 1930? Hey, 22 skidoo.
Hey, dame.
Doll face.
Hey, dame. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
doll.
She's
Probably.
Like, she's like walking down the stairs to see him, and she like falls. Kirk catches her. And he has this look on his face like, oh, fuck.
I just fucked the future up.
Fuck. And, like, Spock is looking at him like, I can't fucking believe you did that.
Yeah. Dumbass.
And he has a great line as well where he says, if we save Edith Keeler, then millions will die who did not die before.
Yeah.
I just played a scene in my head where that scene happens and he just doesn't grab her and she just falls down the stairs and doesn't get seriously hurt. She's just like, ow, fuck!
Ow,
Oh,
my
shit.
ankle!
You
know,
dickhead! Why didn't you catch me, you fucking
You know what's
dick?
funny?
Trustful.
That happens in the teleplay.
No way, really?
What? No way.
She falls down the stairs and he goes to catch her but then stops and lets her fall. And then they
Nice.
walk away in awkward silence afterwards.
That's some fucking...
Fuck yeah, Harlan.
That's some real ass shit, though, right? Like, I don't know. Like, think about like a time when your wife would like fall. Like, how do you catch your wife? How you gonna do that? What, are you like right fucking there?
Because I'm dope. I catch her in my big muscly arms.
I'm dope and so fast.
I'm the fastest, best husband.
Dude, I'm so fucking fast. I'm the coolest kid in first grade.
Fucking Maniac McGee over here.
Like, Bones is fine now. He stopped being a werewolf.
His
or
Cordrazine wore off. Thank God.
He
finally.
drinks some nice coffee and he's fine.
Has some milk.
And she's like, my young man is taking me to a Clark
My
Gable
young man.
movie.
That's something like my grandmother would say.
Yeah, and Bones is like, who the fuck's Clark Gable?
Yeah, he's like, I know what a movie is, but I don't know who Clark fucking Gable is.
She's like, well, you're a weirdo, bye.
You must be from outer space, Mr. Bones.
Yeah. Why they call you Bones?
She took everything but my bones.
I love this scene where, like, they, like, leave the mission and, like, Kirk and Edith, like, meet up and they're like, oh, let's go see a movie.
Yeah, just bullshitting.
Yeah.
And Kirk's like, what the fuck is Clark Gable? And she's like, oh, Dr. McCoy had the same reaction. And he just grabs the fuck out of her and goes, you better McCoy!
He freaks now he's addicted to Cordrazine. He's turned into a friend werewolf.
Yeah,
he's going crazy.
Yeah, he gets a bit of a wolf in him.
He really does get super horny for friendship because he runs back across the street and they just like Kirk, Spock, and Bones just hug as hard as they
triple
can.
kiss, like,
hug. It's like a very aggressive hug.
That's how men did it.
Well, think about it this way, though, right? Like, you just traveled through all of time and space to find your best friend, and you didn't know if he would ever exist again.
And you found him?
That's
crazy.
Yeah. Dude, I would hug the shit out of that guy.
It's somebody from a time that you're from, so you can, like, know, like, oh, God, that's gotta feel so good.
Yeah.
We'll never know that feeling!
No one can ever relate to me in this time.
Don't know.
I need to go to the future.
We could find
I need
the
a Beastmaster 2 myself.
Edith Keeler is on the other side of the street like, man, that is some aggressive hugging. What is going on over there?
I better go check that out.
Yeah. And she walks across the road without looking both ways, and Bones jumps to try and get her, and Kirk grabs them at the last minute.
Yeah. Like, he's already made his decision, right? Like, he knows what he's gonna do.
Bones, like, pulls out his salt shaker and starts just dabbing it into the fucking wounds immediately.
What did you do? Do you know what you just did? And he's like, and then Spock says, he knows, Doctor.
He knows. And Kirk is just, like, gutted.
He does that lean and he does the handshake. He's just like the anger and the frustration and like the adrenaline is just going through his hand.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh God.
And it's a really well acted scene, honestly, for what it was.
Yeah.
Back in our time, the 23rd century, Kirk and Spock leap out of the time portal.
They fucking they flash dance through the portal.
They all $1 million man through it. They all like
they like fucking Super Mario Brothers through the portal.
Yep.
And McCoy jumps a second after them, which I think would have caused a problem with when he arrived personally.
Right.
Probably.
Well, time's crazy, so who knows?
But
I'm the Guardian, and I say it works. Shut up, Jeff.
They're like, did it work? And Spock just is like, we were successful.
Oh, it's perfect Star Trek. It's like you did everything right, but did you? Oh,
yeah.
God.
And Kirk is like I said, he's absolutely gutted. He is like a broken man. And
it's going to take him many green girls to get through this one.
The Guardian of Forever is like, you can go through history and have great journeys like the one you just had and learn and grow. And Kirk is just like silent for a minute, and then he says, "Let's get the hell out of here.
Let's get the fuck out of here."
Dude, it just ends. It's a great ending for a Star Trek episode
in
general.
It ends sad, and like the credits roll, and it feels like you're like, "What the fuck?" Like that's when like a show gets you, and you're like, "I'm gonna watch this next week."
Yeah,
like I gotta come back to this, right?
So
I don't know.
I want to talk a little bit before I get into the teleplay. I want to hear like your thoughts overall of the episode. Like personally, how did you feel about it, and in its relation to the rest of Star Trek?
I mean, I think it sets up like a pattern that we're gonna see in later Star Trek, where, you know, in any science, even like Futurama, right? Like Futurama does episodes like this too, where they have like the dog episode, Jurassic Park. It's like
It's
it
like
ends and you're like,
Pyrrhic
this
victory kind of
this
show.
is fucked up. Yeah, like this is a fucking sad episode,
Yeah.
dude. And like all great science fiction needs that. Like that's like that like, do we even know where we are and what we're doing? You know what I mean? Like, who even knows what the right
Like,
thing is?
at the end of the episode, Kirk is not 100% sure that he did the right thing.
Right.
And that's how we all live our lives, right? None of us know if we did the right thing or not.
Except me, I'm the best one.
Well, of course, Josh is the best one.
Well, and also Jeff is very fast. He's so fast.
It's true. I'm so fast I could make both decisions and
guys-
see which one's right first.
You guys are
It's
very
like that
impressive.
movie. It's like that movie with Nicolas Cage, and it's a really stupid movie, but it's a great concept where he can touch somebody and see their future like 7 seconds. Mm-hmm. And then you find out at the end, like he like makes love with this woman he just meets, and he can see farther with her than anyone. And at the end of the movie, you find out that it was just him seeing far, and it like cuts back to him still being in bed with her, and he has to go do the movie now. It's
Oh,
so
that's
great.
pretty cool, actually.
It's a really cool fucking concept. I love this episode. It's great. I mean, it's TOS, so it's like it's got that TOS-ness that I think like
I have to say, like, I understand the TOS-ness thing. Like, I'm never gonna go on the record and say TOS isn't corny.
right.
But I feel like this episode is like elevated above the
Absolutely.
level of like other TOS episodes.
I
There's
agree
corny
with that.
stuff in it, but like it hits you hard. This episode.
Yeah, I can't compare it to too much else, but I gotta say that I walked away from it and I was like, I could watch more of that.
yeah.
There are a number of TOS episodes like that.
There's some good ones. This always reminds me of a Twilight Zone episode, which William Shatner was also in many Twilight Zone episodes.
Yes.
Probably the most famous one is the Gremlin on the Wing.
Although my favorite one is the machine that tells your future.
Yeah, the future machine. He gets addicted to it. I
Yeah.
love that one.
It's a fucking great episode.
I'll say this.
But it's yeah.
City on the Edge of Tomorrow sounds
Forever.
like it would be a
Forever.
fucking cool city, but we just go to boring old New York in boring old 1930s.
Yeah, what was going on in New York in 1930? Only the Empire State Building was being made.
Boring.
Nothing fun.
Look,
Boring.
everybody. Look.
I already saw 2 of these things fall over, motherfucker.
Look, crowd.
I'll never forget.
Look, crowd of people. The city on the edge of forever was the ruins that had the time gate in it. Dum dums.
Oh, that was the city.
Was the city. Oh.
I think the city on the edge of forever was Kirk's love for Edith Keeler.
Well,
Yeah.
I have no fucking comeback to that, so I guess you're right.
Yay! I'm the best one again.
Beautiful.
No, I mean this episode's great. Like, there's nothing. I mean, we kind of poke fun of the silliness of like the 1960s-ness of TOS,
Yeah.
but like this is one of those foundation Star Trek episodes that makes all other great Star Trek episodes possible
Right.
because like of this shit.
I feel like this episode stands on its own really well in a way that a lot of other Star Trek in general doesn't.
Yeah,
Like,
this
if-
is one of those episodes people know about, even if they've never seen it, right?
Yeah, if you're gonna watch like one Star Trek episode, I might honestly recommend this one.
Of
Out
any of the
even-
any of the series?
Yeah.
I mean, like TOS. Like,
Oh,
if I'm
okay.
gonna
Yeah.
recommend like one Star Trek episode to somebody, it's usually Darmok from TNG.
Or Inner Light.
Yeah.
Inner Light is really good, too.
Yeah, the Inner Light as well.
One of those two is...
I think
Measure,
the
Measure
Inner,
of a
the
Man
Inner
was
Light.
the first one I ever watched, and that was fucking incredible.
Oh yeah, I would recommend Measure of a Man right out the gate too. Honestly,
Yeah.
I feel like Darmok really represents the entire point of Star Trek about
Yeah.
like understanding and togetherness. Really is the answer to everything.
Right, it's like a microcosm of like what everything is going on galactically. Like there's bigger problems out there. We need to fucking figure out how to work
Right.
together.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
It's a great commentary on every single
Everything.
period in human history too.
Yep.
I like Measure of a Man because it asks the questions about what even is human, right? What even is a man? And,
Oh yeah,
And that's another question that's part of the bigger question, right? It's just like Darmok, where it's like These are the big questions that we've been struggling with for eternity, and even though we have incredible technological, advancements, we still haven't figured these very, very
right. There's still
that's the end of the measure of a man. Like I don't know is the answer, so I can't make judgment.
Right.
City on the Edge of Forever is like, it's a little cornier, I guess, to say, but it's like sacrifice. Well, necessary sacrifice.
It's the sacrifice one person for 100 lives. Is that worth it?
Right.
And it's
what would you do?
It's another classic question of existence.
Right. Throw in World War II, it's perfect because that's like the thing. I mean, it's still a thing even in our life. It's like, man, like what if someone just shot Hitler in the face? Like, what would have had? Like, could you have saved everybody? Like, it really highlights, and I think in Star Trek, it goes a long way to like sort of highlight what we kind of already know as like a species, as humans, that like after World War II, we were different.
Yes.
And we literally and physically were different mentally. Like we couldn't fuck around anymore. Like now we can just kill ourselves, all of us at one time.
Yeah.
Like
there is a world destruction button that many leaders around the world have, and we're all keenly aware of the fact that if one of us presses it, all of us press it.
It's bad, yeah. So I don't know. I think this episode is just fundamentally Star Trek, and it's great. I don't know. I love it.
You're right. This feels like an episode that if they hadn't done this, the show could have gone in a totally different direction, and you would have never had the Star Trek as we know.
It could have just been goofy fucking like Alice in Wonderland planet, right? Like that's what people would have remembered.
Edith Keeler had to die so that Star Trek could become what Star Trek was going to become.
That's so true.
Literally, yes. Mm-hmm. Great fucking point. Damn.
So I want to get into this this teleplay a little bit.
Harlan Ellison.
Yeah.
Harley Quinn wrote this?
Harley Quinn wrote... Damn.
She was in the books, I thought.
Then Mr. J says, I'm gonna kill you all with my laughing gas.
That's pretty good.
That's a good Harley.
I don't have a feminine enough voice, but...
So the teleplay starts out on a completely different note.
Are you gonna read the whole teleplay, Jeff?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Ship's log, stardate 3134.6. No, the story starts out with a drug dealer on the Enterprise, an officer.
Okay.
Sure.
Who deals in fucking dream narcotics.
Okay, sure.
Which are like jewels that you apparently like, I don't know, you eat them and then you go fucking nuts.
Okay.
Turn into a werewolf.
You turn into a werewolf when you eat them. The drug dealer's name is Beckwith.
Okay, that's very...
He gives the pilot, who we've never met up until this point, space drugs, so that he will let him go down to the next planet they're going to stop at and sell space drugs to other aliens.
Gotcha, okay.
And then take advantage of all of their space drugged out bodies in order to make profits selling slaves.
Okay, this is already...
this is a Starfleet officer.
Too many things are happening.
And the guy has a bad trip, and he goes back to Beckwith, and he's like, I'm telling.
Right.
So Beckwith knocks him out with a fucking brick, which is on board the Enterprise.
You mean a space brick?
Yes. He steals a gun and runs away, goes down to the planet's surface. And our heroes follow him and find a city on the edge of forever.
Okay.
It's like a city.
Sure.
A city on the edge of forever. And they also
But it's just stupid New York in 1930.
Just dumb old New York, not any cool skyscrapers yet.
They literally meet white Ents.
Okay, cool.
Trees?
They're like tree people. They're like made of like ghost energy.
Sure, why not?
And they explain time travel to them fucking exhaustively over 4 pages.
Hell yeah.
5 pages, 6 pages. Okay, 7 pages. And then Beckwith punches everyone and runs into the time portal.
This guy sounds like a badass.
We don't see Beckwith for like 40 pages.
Okay, he's doing whatever.
He's
out
traveling
doing
through
whatever.
time. There is a completely unnecessary scene where our heroes beam back to the ship, which is actually a space pirate ship now, and have a big...
Did it change? Is that why?
It changed, and they have like a big fight scene.
Why'd they go back? Wouldn't they know it would have changed? Like
They do know it changed, but they go back anyway, and then have a big space fight.
Do they need to get something or
No.
something? Oh. Okay.
I don't know why they go back, actually.
All right.
Well, is that to show them that the time that would be the moment where they were like, "Wow, we
yeah,
can't
where
be
they
back."
show.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
They go back to the
Can't fix it
planet
this
and
way.
talk to the Ents. And
I
the
love
Ents,
that there's Ents.
they explain time travel again for 5 pages.
These guys are so repetitive. Maybe they don't know what time they're in.
They're trees. They got plenty of time, so they just do things
Yeah,
slowly.
they're actually
like-
interesting characters. They just look really silly.
Yeah.
Because they're like immortals that have like guarded the gates of time forever.
They're fucking Arrival. They're the fucking
Sure.
the Septipods. That's
Pretty
what.
much.
I wonder if they got that. Honestly, I wonder if they got a lot of that from this. Like, because those things are like kind of tree-like, and they're like.
Maybe. These guys
they're
are
like
Ents,
time.
though. They look like Ents. They're ghosts, really. They just look like Ents.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we're all just ghosts walking around in a machine.
You just blew
That's from
my
it.
fucking mind.
To the machine.
Okay, I already told you about everybody being horrifically racist and trying to murder Spock because
Yeah.
he's Chinese.
Because it's Chinese.
Our heroes argue viciously with one another.
Yeah.
They don't do that much in TOS, though, right?
No, you kind of
No,
solve
well,
your problems. Also, like
Spock doesn't have emotions, really. So.
Yeah. Also, you're in the of the military. You don't argue like
Sure,
that. You're not
yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Like,
Edith.
I'm gonna-
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Edith Keeler is not an owner of a business of any sort. She is a nun.
Oh.
There's some guy in overalls that takes her spot, giving them jobs and shit.
They go back to the
Okay.
1930s still, though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Spock assaults a man because he won't give him an extra $1.
Hell yeah.
Sounds like Spock. He would want paper money that means nothing.
Edith Keeler and Kirk actually admit that they love each other and kiss, which is different.
Yeah, they kind of imply some sexual activity at one point when they cut away to the city skyline. That's kind of like, and then
Sure.
they fucked all night.
Yeah.
There is a very, very, very telling moment. I think it'll be the last one before I jump to Beckwith showing up again, where I'm just gonna read this actually. Kirk says, "But we talk, Mr. Spock. We sit and we talk about everything." And Spock says that she's a fine person. And he says, "Listen, I've been on the move since I was old enough to ship one as a wiper in one of those old chemical fuel rockets. It's been time, Mr. Spock, a lot of time." And Spock says, "And the women you have known have been casual liaisons in port cities and pleasure planets. It's the way for every spacer, Captain. I am a Vulcan, not a neuter. I understand that very well." So not only is
fucking.
Fuck,
Yeah.
dude.
So not only is Kirk going from planet to planet just fucking, but so is Spock.
Damn, dude.
Anyway,
Man, I should be a spacer.
Yeah, dude, they're dirty scoundrels now, man. This is what scoundrels.
Dirty,
Trek is
rotten
like.
scoundrels.
anyway, Beckwith shows back up and there's big fuck fight
He
scene.
punches somebody. Let me guess.
Big fuck a fight scene, and then there's a legless, homeless man who was in the
Oh.
war,
There's Eddie Murphy from Trading Places.
and they, he gives them information or whatever, and then blah blah blah. Beckwith shows back up again, and he fucking murders the legless veteran.
Well, that's what
homeless
happened.
man.
So
That's the phaser
Beckwith
guy.
is the phaser. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the phaser guy.
Oh my
and-
goddamn milk.
Anyway, the same stuff happens, except Beckwith is the one who tries to save Edith Keeler, even though he's a
okay.
horrible drug dealer monster.
So Bones isn't here.
No, Bones is not in this book at all.
Okay. So it's this Beckwith guy
Yeah.
who I don't give a fuck about.
Beckwith also gets hit by a car and dies. They both die.
Thank God.
And they have this moment where they wonder for like a second, like, why didn't the homeless man getting murdered change time? And they're like, well, I guess he didn't matter.
Damn.
Yeah, like sometimes like that's like some fucking social Darwinist shit.
Yeah.
That's like some literally like some 1930s shit. Like that guy didn't do anything. He wasn't a productive member of society.
He was the end of the line.
Yeah,
And then
that
they-
was his genetic end.
And then they have like a conversation about like why Beckwith tried to save Edith Keeler, and it's like the inherent goodness of humanity.
Oh wow, okay.
Even though
this guy was
he had
crazy.
apparently caused the economic and social downfall of several alien planets in order to
Right.
profit from drug dealing.
You know
Oh,
what?
wow.
I think you're right. Harlan didn't have it right in this one.
It's not a bad story at all. It's really well written.
Yeah,
and everything.
it would
It's
be a
just
good
not Star
sci-fi
Trek.
story. It's not a Star Trek. Well, I think we get enough of that from everything else, right?
It would be
Yeah.
a cooler movie.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, Paul said it straight out, like, Edith Keeler had to die so that we would get the Star Trek
Right.
future that we have. All the
So
Star
did-
Trek shows and everything. This could have been in place of that episode. And could you
Yeah.
imagine what Star Trek would have been like from then on?
Yeah, it would have been like weird. It would have been too much like Star Wars.
There would have been a lot of drug dealers.
Right.
And officers ruining planets.
Yeah, and our heroes just whoring around from whorehouse to whorehouse, port to port.
They always want. I think it says more about our society now that everyone always wants these guys like Kirk to like fuck a lot. Like they like put that because they're putting themselves in that, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
they want to fuck, and it's like, well, yeah.
If you watch any
And so does
episode,
Kirk.
If you watch any episode where Kirk has a romantic character, like romantic connection to a character, it's romantic. Like he's in love
Yeah.
with
Right.
this
It's
person.
not just a
Yeah.
casual lay. For
Yeah, they're not. Yeah,
Or he has like feelings for this person or whatever. And even if he didn't, why can't Kirk get his fuck on? What's wrong with
well,
that?
that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like you can like love somebody like many different ways. Like there's not like who's to say that like romantic like monogamous love is the only way to love someone. Like who knows, right?
You can love somebody however you want. I mean, like Riker
It's your
fucks
choice.
people all the time.
He loves every
He
one of
fucks
them.
not people. He fucks fake people too.
Yeah, Riker, like, and you can tell the lady he's with isn't like, I'm gonna love him forever. He's
Right.
tricking me.
It's-
The lady's like, let's fucking have fun.
It's understood. It's just there's an understanding. Dude, I am fascinated by like I think I talked to you about this, Jeff. Like the sexual revolution that must have taken place at some point. Like because people need to go through that. Like look, like there's no STDs. There's no like unwanted pregnancy. Why are we not just like open fucking free loving this place up, man?
And they
You
do.
know.
They
And they do,
that.
and they absolutely fucking do, because of course they would. Fuck it, fuck whatever. Who cares?
That
as long
sounds
as
like a
it's
beautiful
healthy.
future to me. Like people
Yeah,
just
I wanna-
fucking because they want to.
Yeah, I want to fuck a hologram
Yeah,
just to see.
as long as that hologram doesn't. As long as that hologram does not look like one of your shipmates, all's good.
Right. Then you're
Then we're getting
probably
weird.
not.
Then we're getting
That's
weird.
Or
not-
if
yeah.
it looks like the lady who made the ship you're on. Like if it looks like a real person, then you're getting
All
into
right,
wrong
don't
territory.
get on my boy Jordy's case. All right.
Look,
Or-
Jordy
or-
fucked up, Paul.
Or if it's Kira's body with Quark's head on it, that's
You can
okay.
do that. That's fine.
I fucking love that gif.
So there's a lot of differences. Like I like Harlan Ellison's writing. I just the episode of the TV show is far superior.
It's cleaner.
I-
It's a
I-
cleaner
yeah.
story. It's quicker and cleaner.
Yeah. It has more meaningful ending when it's all of them are working toward this one thing, right? Like
Yeah.
having what's his name? Cuthbert, what's his name? Breitbart.
Beckwith.
Beckwith. Having that guy in, like, obviously, like he's not a Star Trek character. He wouldn't do
He
that.
doesn't make any sense being in the story. Also,
Yeah.
the ending gets very muddled because like Kirk is very hung up about the veteran that gets killed as well.
Yeah, not
And
the woman.
It takes the punch away from Edith Keeler being killed because I mean he says outright that he loves her in the book.
Right.
Right.
It's hard enough. You're dealing with one thing. Like I said, there's too many things happening. There's
Yeah.
just too many.
He has to
things.
make that choice.
Yeah.
It's. I'm sorry, everybody that loves
Well,
Harlan Ellison's
I'm
version.
glad he's dead because that was a shitty.
Whoa!
Also, he was like 100 years old.
Yeah, well, I've actually had conversations with people who really prefer the teleplay, the original
How can they
version.
know though? Because like you can't know, you can't know what it would be like on TV.
Yeah, but
like,
you can
that.
kind of make up the movie in your head a little bit more with that.
Yeah, but that's why they
the
like
graphic
it.
novel has the visuals and
But
everything
that's
in
why
it
they
as
like
well.
it better. But what I'm saying is like there's no way you could know that if that was the episode that it would be better.
Right.
Of course you're gonna think the movie in your head is better.
Right.
It's
That's
the movie in
true.
your head.
I think the movie on the screen is better than the movie in my head, though.
Yeah, I
honestly.
agree. I agree with that.
I don't know. And Harlan Ellison went to his grave hating the Star Trek producers for what they did to him. But if I was like one of the fucking like editors on that show and this came to my fucking desk like drug dealer murderers and shit
Right.
Yeah.
in Starfleet, I'd edit that shit too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, Roddenberry was not gonna allow. Like that just wasn't gonna happen.
No. You don't end up in Starfleet if you're like a murderous drug dealer.
Yeah.
No.
Or if you'll take drugs and let a guy fucking like use your ship to go out and sell contraband.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not Starfleet. Like, this is a military operation. They figure that shit out pretty quick.
Right.
Yeah, like in this world, like you're kind of accountable at all times. Like you're not sneaking shit around. Like if you start doing goofy shit, people are gonna be like, "What are you doing?" It's like being in a submarine. Like, where are you gonna hide your drugs?
Right.
Like, what are
Yeah,
you gonna
pretty
do?
He has
You're
a
stuck
box
there.
of, like, video game jewels that apparently if you eat them, it makes you super fucked up.
Although that sounds cool as hell, and I would do it.
They're called warheads, and they're super sour.
I really love this episode, and I was psyched for you guys to watch it.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that I got to be on here and you guys got to show me this episode because now I feel like I will go and watch some more episodes of TOS.
Good. You
Well,
should
that's
also
what
watch
we're
Deep
here
Space
for.
Nine.
Yeah, he needs to watch Deep Space Nine next.
I know. I'm steeling myself for the long journey through that.
I mean, it's comparable. It's a proto Battlestar,
Right.
so you're gonna like
I
it.
wouldn't know.
Jeff.
Get on it,
Then,
Jeff.
then we gotta make Jeff watch fucking Battlestar Galactica.
Hey, I'll watch it one day.
We need to make a Deep Space Nine BSG pact. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway,
He's not ready. He's not ready for that. He's like, we gotta go.
Anyway, moving on. I'll go to bat for Deep Space Nine though because when we first started this podcast, I was a bit of a Deep Space Nine detractor. I liked
Yeah.
the show a lot, but I felt like it didn't uphold the like principles of Star Trek like
Yeah,
the
but
other
then he
series
talked to
did.
me, and he saw how wrong he was and how right I am.
Jesus. Anyway,
Jeff, welcome to Living with Josh.
that's fine. I love the little scamp.
Oh man.
But I was doing a rewatch of Deep Space Nine when we started doing this podcast, and by the time I got to the end of it, I was like, no man, that's really fucking good. Like it falters at like the utopian Star Trek future at times, but I mean it always picks it back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, like the point of the show, a big point of the show is that like this is what happens even in a utopia. Sometimes is that you gotta watch out because shit can go bad,
Yeah.
and you gotta be vigilant, right?
You have to work at a utopia.
Yeah.
That's like
It's
the
not just
real
gonna
lesson of
always
Deep
be
Space
that
Nine.
way.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think. Like if you just rest on your laurels, you'll lose utopia.
Yeah.
You have to work for it.
Or
And
rest on
I
your
think that's a
Yannies,
great
too.
lesson.
I mean, either one.
Oh my god!
Get
I
the
can't believe
fuck
he-
off my podcast.
I can't believe he. I can't believe he did that. That's a timeless. That'll never be a time.
It's already dated. It's
timeless-
already dated.
As timeless as Trek itself.
As timeless as the city on the edge of forever.
I think that's a good time to cut this the fuck off.
Oh yeah, ended on my
Great-
terrible joke.
Great,
Yeah.
great episode.
It was a
Thank
great
you,
episode
Paul.
up until a point, Paul.
Paul, do you want to tell anyone to go watch something?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck you tell them to go watch.
I don't. I mean, you're here. You do
Go
it.
watch Pretend Friends. We're all on Pretend Friends. That's a fun one.
Yeah, go do that.
Kevin's on there. Kevin's been on this show, so they know.
Yeah.
He always plugs Pretend Friends when he's on here, so...
Oh. Well, I'm still
You know,
doing it because
he
I'm
always-
below Kevin again.
Look, if everybody who listens to this podcast... You guys already watch Continue. You guys already listen to
Maybe.
Continue Cast. You guys gotta check out Pretend Friends.
Yeah.
Like,
Do
some of you
it!
people are fucking sleeping on Pretend Friends, and I can't believe it.
Don't sleep.
It's crazy. Don't sleep or you'll get knocked out. That's what my dad always
and
said.
then
He
you'll
didn't
double
say that.
sleep, and that's death.
The little death.
Is that a coming?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
euphemism for
Yeah.
jizzing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on the program, Paul. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me. I had a
Thanks,
blast.
Paul.
And
We do more of them. Come back anytime.
yeah, you're welcome. As long
There's-
as you never make another Laurel and Yanny reference, you're welcome.
Well, now
back
he's gonna do
anytime.
it. Now you're just making.
That's
Now he's
my
gonna do
thing.
it. I'm the Laurel Yanny guy.
Fucking rest in peace to Paul's career.
To Paul?
Oh, to Paul's on the program?
To Paul? If Paul looked like to Paul, oh my god.
His career would last until the end of Enterprise.
I would have done a show with him for 10 years. Oh wait, I already
So, I think there's like a very small segment of people who don't know Continue who watch this.
Yeah,
so
go
go
watch
check
that
out
too.
Continue. 10 years strong.
It's out today because this show comes out on the same day as that
Yes,
show.
Yeah.
which was a poor decision, but I did it anyway.
It doesn't really matter. The internet's forever, just like Laurel and Yanny. My
Thanks for
favorite
tuning
comedy
in.
duo, Laurel and Yanny.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you in 1 week for more M-Class goodness.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Drink Sluggo Cola, the slimiest cola in the galaxy.